Doctors change lives every day, but what happens when life changes yours? A single injury, a sudden illness. Your career, your income, your future can shift in an instant. The best physicians don't just plan for success, they protect it. At Set for Life Insurance, they believe financial security isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. True own occupation disability insurance ensures that no matter what happens, your future stays in your hands. Because protecting your income means protecting everything you've built. Visit drpodcastnetwork.co/set for life today. Secure your future before life makes the choice for you. We are no longer physicians, we're providers.
Ask your baby's permission.
Gay people, you have become a product. Should auto insurance cover STD? Are you freaking kidding me? So you demean us. You don't get a parade for a sexual preference. To not hurt the feelings of somebody with a fraction of my training. That a beaver's ass presented this to the world. It's a natural flavor. But you are literally an ice cube in a martini shaker. Hello. Welcome back to DOCTALES with Cocktails.
I'm just sitting here smiling, letting you do the intro.
Yes, Doctors Tim and May Hindmarsh back again to share hopefully the lighter side of the medical news, as well as some personal anecdotes and a drink or two. I have a new one, and it's delicious.
Sunday afternoon cocktail for you. I already had my mimosa this morning.
Yes, that was good. We went to the country club for Eggs Benedict brunch, and it was amazing, as usual. Just going to adjust that camera. Look at that. Perfectly centered.
Well, what have you got for us this week, Tim, in the news?
Well, just a couple things. I want to talk about this study that came out talking about Parkinson's disease risk and living and proximity to golf courses. In other words, the closer you live to a golf course, the higher risk you have of having Parkinson's disease. You know what else you have? A much higher risk of owning a golf cart.
A golf cart. So therefore the golf cart causes Parkinson's disease?
No, it gets...
Is that what the study shows?
We'll get into it because it's just like, how does this shit get funded is what I want to know.
I don't know if that one was... We'll have to look at it closer to see if it's funded. My guess is that since it's such an old compilation of data, it's probably some third-year medical residence study.
It wasn't published till last week.
That's what I mean. It was probably someone that had to scrounge together a bunch of data and come up with a publication to graduate. You know how that used to be? Got to get your...
It was published May 8th, 2025.
Right. That's what I mean. But they probably just got old studies and data and put it together and said, look at this information, even though it's old information. Said, we'll have to look those people up and see who they are.
Ooh, there's lots of conflicts of interest.
Well,
like this guy, Dr. Dorsey, reported receiving honoraria from, like, it is a complete laundry list of pharmaceutical companies.
Interesting.
No, it's unbelievable.
But anyway, let's get into the meat of it then.
It's crazy. Let's do that. And then I'm going to share a little bit of making decisions in a crisis situation and how that kind of messes with us. All right, let's get on to this study, which is fascinating. All right, so who authored this? Brittany Krasowski, Aidan Mullen, and Ray Dorsey. So a PhD, a master's, and an MD. The question is, does living within proximity to a golf course affect the risk of Parkinson's disease? The case control study found the risk of Parkinson's disease within 1 to 3 miles of a golf course increases, and that this risk generally decreased with distance. Effect sizes were largest in water service areas with a golf course in vulnerable groundwater regions. And then what they think happened is the findings suggest that pesticides applied to golf courses may play a role in the incidence of Parkinson's disease for nearby residents.
I guess the question is, do they look at these people and they're neurocognitive status before they moved to the golf course
Well, I mean, okay, so
area, and then after.
so there's a
And then
lot of
after.
there's a lot of questions you have to ask. And there was 419 cases.
What was the average age of the people living there?
Like 70 something.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that got Parkinson's. But here's the part that's really weird to me. The project went on from 1991 to 2015. So it's over 33 years old. Data were analyzed between June and August of 2024. So, like 2015 was 10 years ago. Data were analyzed between June and August of 2024. So they had.
So was it part of another study? Did they dig all this out? Were they looking at other things? You know what I mean? Sometimes they'll do that. They'll go back.
I mean, they had 24 years of data, right? And then they didn't analyze it for another 9 years.
Huh.
So right there, I'm like, what the frick? Like, does this happen often? I don't know. We'll have to ask Harvey Risch and see what he says. So they had 419 cases. The median age was 73. Lowest age was 65. Highest was 80. So that's a pretty tight demo. 257 male. Rest were female. 5,113 matched controls.
All right.
After adjusting for patient demographics and neighborhood characteristics, whatever the F that means, living within 1 mile of a golf course was associated with 126% increased odds of developing Parkinson's disease compared with individuals living more than 6 miles away from a golf course. Individuals living within water service areas within a golf course had nearly double the odds of Parkinson's compared with individuals in water service areas without golf courses.
Okay, so we live in an area that has ponds that service the golf course. I'm confused.
Okay, we live in Florida, which means we live in an area with ponds serviced a golf course. Where are you going to live in Florida other than like in the horse country of Ocala that does not have groundwater that waters a golf course? I don't know. Nowhere.
Well, maybe where did they gather this data from? One state? A bunch of states?
There you go. My unbelievably beautiful and the only thing that comes close to eclipsing her beauty is her razor sharp mind.
You have to pick apart.
In this population-based case-controlled study, the greatest risk of Parkinson's is from 1 to 3 miles. Associations with the largest effect sizes were in water service areas with a golf course in the vulnerable groundwater regions. Okay, so their conclusion is the pesticides in the groundwater, if you live close to a golf course, but where?
Yeah, is this in like Russia? Just
Nope.
outside of
It's
all in
Minnesota.
Oh, not even in Florida where all the old people live.
No. So it
Minnesota?
really...
Minnesota?
Yeah, in Minnesota. So it's really super crazy because, first of all, why the hell did it take this long to get this stinking thing out? Did they just have it shelved and they're like, let's publish something controversial as clickbait? Because there wasn't even clickbait in 1991. Because there wasn't even click. So, I almost said something else. There wasn't even like...
I'm like, what else is going on in Minnesota that might be giving people...
Well, there you go.
Disease.
Okay, so is there anything else that you would see with your own two eyes that would suggest that, like, perhaps members of the PGA that not only live on golf courses, they work on golf courses, okay.
Do they get Parkinson's disease with higher
Not that
frequency?
I know of. Like, you would think that professional golfers
sample size.
Yes, you would think that professional golfers... I mean, there was 419 cases out of like 5,000. So it's not that great. You would think that professional golfers would be going, because how old's the PGA? It's over 100 years old, right? And most of these guys live either in Southern California or in South Florida so that they can golf all winter when it's kind of the off season. You would think after 100 years with guys living in Jupiter, Florida on their own golf course for a gajillion bajillion years, that people be going, what the hell's going on with these Parkinsons in these retired golf pros that are now 73 years old?
Right, kind of like the boxers that all get like dementia.
Right. You read my mind.
There you go. So
Yeah.
what was their hypothesis? Like their original
Pesticides.
that pesticides cause
Pesticides.
Parkinson's, and they took their sample from Minnesota.
Minnesota. So
I'm
maybe
thinking lack of
maybe
sunlight.
Exactly. Maybe it's Jack Cruz
Maybe
stuff.
it's 40 below.
And maybe it's the fact that they have way more, maybe less sunlight. And maybe it's the fact that if you live next to a golf course in the middle of Minnesota, you ride your snowmobile on the golf course in the wintertime, and it's the noxious fumes from the two-stroke engine that screw you up. This is why it's BS free, MD. Because this smells of horseshit so badly, I cannot even comprehend it.
And the best part is, what journal was that in?
JAMA. I shit you not.
Journal of the American Medical Association. There's some high quality stuff right there.
Trust the experts.
So they, these journals, they block all the good studies, the real ones with the real true data that scientists and physician friends can't get published. So they put this shit in there.
No. So, it's so completely amazing, right? Because it's like, well, okay, who lives next to golf courses? Generally speaking,
old people,
old rich white people,
or people that love golfing.
Yes. And most of these people were, of course, white because it was Minnesota and it was golf courses. Okay. All right. So it's just like, okay, number one, I'm happy they're talking about pesticides. Okay. So that's good. Like that, because they could have had something like, wearing a MAGA hat gives you Parkinson's, but I mean, it finished in 2015 and Trump was still on The Apprentice at that point. So at least they're talking about pesticides, which makes me happy. In other words, environmental contagions that you can do something about, that you can legislate against. So that part's good. But there's still something about this that just reeks of complete and absolute BS.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But it has been sensationalized. I mean, this was published a couple of weeks ago, and it has blown up. It is all over the interwebs. And I'm like, I mean, just give me a break. The biggest confounder, though, is it's Minnesota, right? And like what Uncle Jack would say is, Jack Cruz, look him up. He'd say, well, of course, people in Minnesota are going to have a higher risk of Parkinson's disease because they don't get the sunlight in their eyes that goes to their neuromelanin. What is screwed up in Parkinson's disease?
But it's sunny there, even when it's 40 below.
Right. But but the light is still crap because it's super north. So what part of the brain gets messed up in Parkinson's disease?
I know, but most of our listeners aren't going to know the substantia nigra.
What does substantia nigra mean?
It means black
area.
Area, yes.
Okay. What makes it black?
Pigment.
What's the pigment called?
Melanin.
What's it specifically called when it's in the middle of your noggin?
Neuromelanin.
Exactly.
Do I pass the test?
You passed the Jack Cruz introduction to photobiology, and that's exactly the point. So,
and what happens? And what do they need? I mean, sunlight.
Well,
melanocytes in your skin.
Yes, he would say exposures to sunlight with your eyes. He would say exposure to sunlight at certain times of the day and not at other times of the day. In other words, you get up, you get first morning sun, you ground, you get sun all day long, and then you go completely dark with getting rid of all blue light in the evening when the sun goes down.
Do we do that?
No, we don't.
We make a good attempt at the first part of the day.
We do the photo charging stuff we do. So the whole fact is
the photo. What would we call it? The down regulating part at the end of the day.
No, I don't do that.
No, in fact, your blue light's going off all night long on that nightstand.
Yeah, I've shut that off. So, but it is absolutely
a marital.
Yeah, whatever. A marital whatever.
A marital wedge that we can get into on another.
But it is fascinating because you could take
that damn phone off.
You could take the theories of appropriate blue light exposure to the correct wavelengths of ultraviolet light at the correct latitudes, which is what Jack would argue, and disturbances in neuromelanin, which is clearly what happens in Parkinson's disease, and say, this damn thing doesn't have anything to do with living next to a golf course. It has everything to do with the fact that you live in Minnesota. So, or you live near a golf course, you have a toxic exposure, and your lack of neuromelanin is exacerbated because you can't detoxify that. Like, there's a million theories, like a million gajillion theories. Maybe the guys that live next to a golf course also live closer to lakes in Minnesota, and they do more ice fishing, and the ice fishing has the icy water has concentrated the mercury. Like there's so many freaking confounders, and it was one county in one state with 490 people, and this is the height of scientific evidence in medicine. Thank you, dipshits.
We've seen some doozies over the years.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
it is crazy. And then you read who got paid. They were all getting paid by a million different companies.
Yeah, Parkinson's drugs company. Or fertilizer companies.
Or Top Flight.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Or not. No.
Or TaylorMade.
Do you think they'd want to sponsor that study?
No.
I think not. No. I mean, it's a good start, but how about some more?
Now, it might be true. Like, that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
It might be true. And it might be a really great place to start.
I agree. Being near all them pesticides can't be good for you, but we live in the capital of pesticides down here, man. They spray for everything.
Do you know who would live in Florida with no pesticides? There would be the 3 million alligators that already live here.
I see what you're saying.
And the two guys that have 6 teeth between them that hunt said alligators. Everyone, and there would be an enclave in Tampa, an enclave in Miami. It would be like 1906 again.
It would be pretty horrific.
Because there's a lot of bugs if you don't kill them. So yeah, whatever. Okay, so I'll be 60 here in a few weeks, and it's like, whatever. I'll take my chances. Yet
I'll take the sun and risk the pesticides.
Yet, when you see these people, they're super happy, and they live way longer because they get all of this sunshine on their skin and in their eyes. They're happy,
they're outside,
they're active, and they live a long time. So I don't think the freaking pesticides are really the problem. I think living in Minnesota under communist beta male Tim Walz is actually the problem.
Well, having lived in a similar climate and geopolitical place in the past, I could attest to that. Yes, attitude changes hugely.
Freezing.
No, it's no fun.
Ooh, man, I popped my elbow.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes.
Getting out in that sun changes everything.
Let's check and see
what else you got.
If we can have see any comments.
All right.
When I'm on that. Okay, so I have to tell you about my trip. Here we go. Oh, look, I'm looking.
All right, I'll read them. I'll read you the comments while you think about your trip.
Oh, our buddy Jason is on there.
Jason.
Reverend Tim bringing the truth. You got that, brother.
Good to see you, Jason.
All the way from Missouri. See, I don't know if he lives in the part of Missouri that's Missouri or the part of Missouri where it's Missouri.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference. I think if you're in rural Missouri, it's Missouri. And if you're in like St. Louis, it's Missouri.
Like Oregon and Oregon.
Or what drove me crazy living in the hills of Oregon was crick.
Oh.
I'm going to the crick.
Well, that's...
How is CREEK crick, you hillbilly?
I think we've touched on that numerous times in the past. Or it's living in Washington.
Oh, no.
That one drove me crazy.
Isn't it weird, though? Isn't it weird? Like we've talked about this before, that as soon as somebody has a different accent than you, unless it's British, you assume they're stupid.
Yeah.
When they could be an absolute Mensa genius.
I would say, Not all.
Not all. No. If you
But
have a British accent, you get an extra 15 points easy on your IQ, even if you're completely like totally dumb.
Why is it that they sound so intelligent?
I don't know, but again, right? Like then you have the Australian accent, which is kind of like a drunk guy from the South. No, it's all right, mate. I'm gonna take out your pituitary gland. You got a fucking tumor in the middle of your head. There, we're gonna, they're gonna be swearing. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And it's like we're gonna go through your nose, and then we're gonna excise some of this and get that tumor away from your pituitary so that it works properly and your hormones don't shrink your balls. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not. You're not doing surgery on me. I don't care if you're the best surgeon in the world. That Australian accent makes you sound like a drunk dipshit that's really dumb.
I would say they just sound like they should be changing your tires at the AutoZone. Not.
Yeah, if they were like, okay, mate, okay, mate, all right,
get it.
All right, you can't have the
that
front
accent. I mean,
you can't have the front tires
like
on 30 pounds and the rear tires on 65 pounds. You go out on the outback, you're going to run in a roo, and you see that guy I would trust with tire pressure. Pituitary surgery? No, I don't trust you. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't trust you.
But that's like Canadians. Think about it.
Oh, there's a guy.
The Great White North. I mean, come on.
There is a guy on Instagram, and most of I've listened to this comedy stuff, and it's not good. But what's brilliant is he takes like people talking, and then he changes their voice to an Alberta accent. Like he goes, "What if Pope Leo had an Alberta accent?" And it's absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant.
Huh, we'll have to look that guy up.
Oh, well, no, we should have the guy on the show. It is absolutely genius because of course, it's riddled with swearing because that's the Alberta accent, but it is so funny. It's like, okay, hey, all right, we're here. We got a couple 6-packs. We're going to talk about the Bible and like Jesus and the Pope and stuff. I mean, it is so good. It's a million times better than I could do. And it is absolutely, it's amazing. So let's talk about the trip I went on.
Let's talk about it.
And making decisions in a crisis. So it's been several years now. I have been going up to the Outer Banks of North Carolina for the annual kiteboarding trip with my Canadian friends. And it is amazing. They're great people. We have an excellent time. We actually have some fairly deep discussions that we plan ahead. We have book club.
You plan the discussions ahead?
Well, we have a book. We have like a book club for guys. So we kiteboard and then we like talk about books.
What was the book this time?
It was one of Mark Clark's books. And if you've not, you should experience Mark Clark. Brilliant pastor. Pastors this gigantic church in Northern California. Anyways, so my buddy brought his jet ski, which was fantastic because then if you have a no-wind day, you can still do stuff out on Pamlico Sound. You can rescue people like me, et cetera, et cetera. So they were going to do this super duper long downwinder. It's like 18 miles downwind, which means you're going to be kiting for 40 plus miles because you have to, go back and forth. And they said, well, just follow us with the jet ski. And they have never done this downwinder before. And I'm like, I have never driven the jet ski 18 miles downwind to believe it or not, the name of the place we stopped is Oregon Inlet, which is quite a renowned marina. So
that's where it all fell apart.
That's where it all, just like Oregon, that's where it all went to shit. So we get most of the way there, 3/4 of the way, I would say easily. And, I'm trying to figure out where to go, and the guys are back and forth, and, kiteboard, you can run in 6 inches of water, no problem. Apparently that doesn't work for jet skis. So I am trying to go across this long path of water, and it goes to like 3 inches of water, and I completely run the jet ski aground. Mm-hmm. Like 100% totally stuck. Like, I don't mean a little bit stuck. I mean, like, when you get your 4x4 stuck, like you're really, really stuck, like you're call a guy.
3 inches of water.
Yes. 3 inches of water.
Well, what did you expect?
Well, I can't tell. There's no depth finder on this thing.
You can't see the sand. You couldn't
see.
Yeah,
but you can, and you can see it. And there's times where you can see the bottom and it's really clear and it's like 6 feet deep. And then other times, so I'm like, I think it's getting shallow. And then I'm like, no, I'm not moving. It's like really shallow. So then I'm sitting out there and I am at least a mile away from the shore. And between me and the shore is this long stretch of like you just walk in the sound. And then there's channels that are like really deep, like you can't touch ground. And then, you can walk and then there's a channel and then eventually you get to the shore. And so then I wave my buddy down and he comes over who owns the jet ski. So he had a financial interest in me not destroying his property. And we're trying to push this thing out, and there's just not a chance in hell that we're going to get it out. So we take his kite board, we take his kite, we pack up all of his gear, and it's like, okay, what are we going to do? And it's like, okay, well, there's two of us, so let's just walk to the shore. So we walk to the shore. And then we get into this channel.
And the shore is how far away?
A mile, at least. It has to be, because when we got to the shore, if you knew where the jet ski was, you could see it. If you didn't, you would never know there was a jet ski there. Like, it was invisible. That's how far away it was. So we start walking, and then we get to the first channel, and I'm like, well, this is no big deal. Well, all of a sudden, it's like, it's way over our heads, and there's a current. And I am like, what movie was that with Sandra Bullock where the tether gets cut and he's just like floating off into space, like
Gravity.
Yeah, just like floating away. And my buddy Mark's like,
I think it's called
oh
Gravity.
crap. So I get back, we swim, we get,
That's Matt Damon, isn't it? No,
I can't remember.
Well, he was in the movie, but.
And then so now it's like, okay, we got to connect ourselves. So we kind of tie ourselves together so that every time we get to these channels, we can swim. We're in wetsuits. I had a life jacket on, so it was not the end of the world because I didn't want to get a ticket, driving a jet ski with no life jacket. And so then we just kind of swim tethered together. And then finally, then we can.
How did that go? Did you dog paddle? How did you swim?
Yeah, you just kind of kicked, and yeah, I mean, it was terrible swimming.
I'm imagining this because I was a lifeguard.
It's awful swimming.
And swim instructor. And I'm trying to imagine you and another guy with the equipment tethered together swimming.
Yeah, we were incredibly buoyant because we had, like, he's holding his kite, which has a bit of air in it. So, like, it wasn't like we were going to sink. It was whether we were going to get, like, washed out.
Side stroking? Are you on your back kicking, like,
no,
blown up inflatable?
Because you'd have to swim. It felt like, oh man, I'm going to have to swim for half an hour. You didn't. You have to swim for a few minutes at a time, and then you could touch the ground. You could walk, and then you'd walk and walk and walk. But you're walking in water up to your chest, and then you're walking in water that's like ankle deep, and then you're swimming again. And this goes on for the better part of an hour,
like Survivor,
right? And then we get to the shore, and we're like, okay, this is perfect. We're on the shore, and then it gets exponentially worse. Like, way worse. It's like, okay, last time I checked, we are land mammals. Now we're on the land, and this is way worse.
Are you amphibians?
No, because where we came, so most of the non-beach oceanfront. So the Atlantic side, if you look at the Outer Banks, it's a barrier island. It's a series of barrier islands that go almost from Virginia for, I don't know, 200 miles or more. So the Atlantic side is all sand, okay? But the Sound side, like the Pamlico Sound side, is like, it's mud, basically, and grass and trees. And virtually all of that side, other than where they have parks, like specific parks, is all bird sanctuary. So not only can you not fly a kite there, you cannot walk there, you cannot touch there, you cannot anything on that seashore.
And you all knew this before you set
No, we
on
were just trying
kite
really hard not to die.
journey.
Yeah, we were trying really hard not to die. So then anyways, so we get there, we get to the ground, and I'm like, okay, this is no problem. There's just a grove of trees. We'll just walk on the grass, and it'll be harder ground, and then we'll get to the trees, and we'll just push through the trees, and it's going to be no big deal. No, that's not how it is, because the trees are totally, like, they're packed, and they're filled with all these, like, crown of thorns, and it's all totally preserved. So it's never groomed. There's no trails. There's absolutely nothing. We're in freaking wetsuits. wearing booties, carrying kiting equipment. And, we did have a phone. So we eventually phoned our compadres that were supposed to pick us up because they had kited ahead and had, saved themselves. And they're like, they get up on the sand dunes on the other side of the highway next to the Atlantic Ocean. And they're like, okay, you got it. They're sending us pictures. It's like, dude, you cannot go straight ahead where you are because you're going to be stuck in these bushes and you're going to die.
So they gave you the play-by-play directions, which way to go.
Correct. So then they said, okay, there's a channel. You're going to have to walk next to the channel. That's the shortest distance between, the trees and then the sand. And then you're going to be at the highway and you're going to be fine. America spends more on healthcare than any other country, yet we rank 48th in life expectancy. We spend trillions, but 200,000 insured people still declare medical bankruptcy every year. Clearly, the system is broken. But what if there was a way to take back control, to break free from inflated costs and red tape? That's exactly why Crowd Health was created, a smarter, more transparent way to pay for healthcare. No middleman, no bureaucracy. Just a community of people helping each other when it matters most. Join the revolution. Go to joincrowdhealth.com and use promo code BSFREE for a discount on your first 3 months, because your health should be in your hands, not theirs. So that's all fine and good. And then we start walking and you get into these mud bogs and you're like going into your knees of mud, of like mire. And every time you pull, like you have to do this superhuman feat of pulling your leg out to get it out of the mud. And it's like, and then you do that and it would be mud and water as you cross these little streams. And like my buddy's like, dude, don't stop. Like you cannot stop moving. If you stop moving, you just keep sinking into this mud. Like it was crazy. It's like the Bible verse in, what is that? Like Psalm 40. He took my feet out of the miry clay and put it on a rock to stay. There's that song.
There's no clay to stay.
No. And like you understand how awful mire is. And then I was thinking to myself whilst I was doing this, what is the difference between muck and mire?
Oh my gosh, the things you think.
Because I know I was experiencing both muck and mire, but I was unclear which was which. I do understand intimately that they both suck when you're trying to hike away from a stranded jet ski. So then we get to the trees and we're pushing through these trees. And it is like every step you take that was not covered with wetsuit material was like you were being biblically scourged with these brambles and thorns.
And I'm not laughing now because I was laughing my head off at this stupid story the first
so
time.
then we finally can see our buddies, like they're up on this sand dune waving and laughing their asses off. And we get, we go through the last push and we get there and, whatever, everything's fine and it's all good. 2 hours of hiking through ocean, swimming, muck and mire and trees, and then finally sand. So, I mean, it was like the Bear Grylls, like decathlon or whatever, right? Everything but like drinking our own pee and eating locusts or whatever.
Lovely.
So that was all fine and good. But then it got me thinking later. So what if I was there by myself? What would I have done? What would I have honestly done? And what should I have done? In other words, how would you make a decision in a crisis? So the thing that's fascinating is,
aren't you using your survival skills and your wilderness medicine?
Well, I was in way more danger than I thought that I was, because I didn't.
Shit, Sherlock.
Because the danger was not the water. The danger was what I perceived as safety, which was the land. That's where badness was going to happen. That's where I was going to trip and fall in the trees and get stabbed or get, something poked in my lung or like God knows what, right? But that was the perceived safety.
Not the snakes that were whipping around.
There's snakes and all that.
Scorpions.
Yeah. There's no scorpions. There's a lot of snakes.
Cane
snakes
frogs
and crabs
Cuban
and
frogs.
yeah.
And all this crap I'm finding about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Not as bad as Florida, but it's pretty bad. So then you sit there and you go, the right answer would have been what would have happened if it was May, which is I have an Apple Watch, I have an SOS button. You pull the button, you wait a couple hours sitting out there. You get a little hot, might get sunburned. Coast Guard comes, drags your fat ass out of there, and says, "Yeah, well, we might try to get the jet ski later. If not, you're going to have to get salvage or figure out how to get it. And you'd be safe, and you wouldn't have to worry about it." And
here's your $35,000 rescue bill.
No, they wouldn't do that. Not the Coast Guard.
Oh no,
no, that's what we pay taxes for. That's their job. So they would have
like the fire department.
They would have like the fire
you
department.
Can be stupid.
You can be
and get rescued.
Let's be perfectly honest. Virtually everyone the Coast Guard rescues did something dumb. Let's be perfectly honest. So they would have rescued me, and there, would have been embarrassing. But to save that embarrassment, I saw what I thought was safe, and I thought the land was safe. The land wasn't safe. The land was more dangerous. But in my perception, especially in that crisis, and I wasn't freaking out or anything, but especially in that crisis, I was assuming, get to land, you're good. You just keep walking. It might suck, but you're going to, no. I don't know if I would have got stuck in those trees. Like, who knows what would have happened, right? And so it really makes you think about how if you don't have a plan
right
before you get the flat tire, your chances of making an on-the-spot, unprepared decision correctly are very close to zero. If you're a woman, they're definitely above zero. If you're a man, they're probably below zero.
Well, when it comes to asking for directions, forget men. Now, I guess you could see.
Oh, Jason's in Illinois. I'm sorry, not Missouri. But that's okay.
But I knew that because I read it before you.
But
I didn't interrupt.
Sorry, but yeah, of course. But it really got me thinking. It's like,
But it starts back with 4 guys going on this downwinder, not getting directions.
No, we had directions.
Well, have you?
But they hadn't done it before.
They hadn't done it. They didn't know the lay of the
that's
land.
Exactly.
They didn't know the.
It's 100% it.
Obstacles, potential dangers, whatever.
That's exactly it. But it's interesting. Like, I go back to skydiving, and it's like every single time you go to get on the plane, you rehearse your emergency procedures, like over and over and over and over again. Right? It's like, cutaway, reserve, cutaway, reserve, cutaway. Pull. Bad. Cutaway, reserve. Check canopy, like all that stuff. It is so totally ingrained in you. And I remember when I was delivering babies, it's the same thing. Like, you always thought 2 or 3 steps ahead because you assumed that this was a crisis, because delivering a child is actually medically exceptionally high risk environment, right? Because you have 2 patients that you can kill in seconds. So
not if they're not born yet. It's not a patient.
Good Lord.
Let's not get into that.
So yeah, thanks for opening that.
Just depends what state you're in, right?
Yeah. So it was like, wow, this is why, when I used to skydive in San Diego, there was a bunch of guys there that were Navy SEALs, and you talk to them, and it's like, this one guy I made friends with, he's just really cool. And he's like, yeah, it's the greatest job in the world. Because when we go into deployment, it's 6 weeks. We have a specific target. We hit our targets. We come home. And then we train. Because you can't, like, the situation I was in, if you actually were training for it, would be the simplest thing ever. You're like, shit, I got to call the Coast Guard. I'm a dumbass. I feel bad. But you think you know things you don't know because you're not trained in that scenario. And that really hit me. And that's why, they won't, like, when you get trained in kiteboarding, and that's what I told our son, if he ever learns, you have to have professional training, because they teach you before they let you go and be independent. They're like, this is how you rescue yourself. This is how you rescue yourself. This
sounds like swim lessons 101.
Right. Yeah.
How to float, how to make your pants into a buoy, take them off.
Well, there was that kid 30 years ago that fell off of an aircraft carrier. And he's like floating around. It was in the Persian Gulf, I think. So the water was pretty warm. So he wasn't going to get hypothermia and die. And he he took his pants or his jacket and he made it into a life jacket and he just sat there and he floated around and then some fishing boat found him. And, the military finally, after 2 or 3 days, had called his parents and they're like, we don't know where he is. We don't have a good answer for you. And then like the next day, the phone rings at his parents' house and he's like, yeah, this is, whoever, Bill, can you send the military to rescue me? I'm in some place in Pakistan or whatever. So it's like, it was just super simple training. It's like you're never going to swim long enough. You're never going to tread water long enough. You need a flotation device. This is how you make a flotation device out of what we issue you. There you go. Have a nice day. Don't fall off an aircraft carrier. But again, if you don't have that knowledge and you don't assume disaster, you can take a relatively low risk. You can take an actually exceptionally low risk environment and make it unbelievably high risk just with a series of really super simple, mundane, I emphasize that, mundane mistakes.
Absolutely.
So
I totally agree.
That's why if I get a flat tire on the I-75, I am not changing my tire with cars whipping past me at 85 miles an hour. I'm getting probably away from my vehicle and I'm calling AAA and I'm waiting. Because trying to change a flat yourself on an interstate in Florida,
I can't even fathom that. I wouldn't even want to open the door to get out. I'm thinking I'm just
seriously.
Stay
I would not it's an insane asylum.
Aluminum around me.
That's like wrecking in the Daytona 500 and getting out and changing a tire. What could possibly go wrong?
I'd be more scared of flying like tires and rubber and debris and stuff that flies off of there almost more than the vehicles.
Yeah, like that guy.
Like shrapnel flying off all the time.
Like that guy that had the alligator fatality because he hit an alligator and it flew and made his vehicle fly in the air and crash and killed him.
I know.
It's like, you cannot make this up.
It's like literally like a Star Wars episode, driving down there, dodging all this asteroids and crap. What are you drinking?
What I'm drinking? I am drinking from our friends at the Loaded Cannon, because what other cannons are there? You don't want to go to the unloaded cannon. The Loaded Cannon.
Only the Loaded Cannon.
It is 1.8 miles from our house. It is our new favorite haunt and distillery. This is Carlita's Revenge. It is exactly 1 week old. It's hot off of the distillery or the presses or whatever. It is salted caramel flavored whiskey. They make great whiskey. This is like legit salted caramel. I tasted it and I said, this needs something for a mix that I wanted to change the flavors. I added heavy cream to it and it is delicious.
Great idea. Okay, let's discuss. First of all, did you tell them that we were going to feature it on the show today?
I did.
Oh, good. So let's fix this. I think it's Carlotta.
Oh, it's not Carlita.
It's Carlotta's Revenge. And who's Carlotta?
I have no idea.
Is it some kind of
I'll have to ask Steve, the owner.
Pirate lore?
If anybody knows, pirate lore.
It's got to be. And the next thing I would ask is it caramel or caramel?
Oh, good Lord.
You say caramel. I say Carmel.
No, Carmel is a city in California.
Caramel.
That's the Canadian way. Yeah, I got some caramels, eh? Well, how would Jordan Peterson say it?
I think they are caramels.
What, you going
craft caramels? You got to look it up.
You going to eat some caramels?
I want to look that up.
That's no life at all. You got to eat your caramels, If you don't eat your caramels, what are you doing? You're just sitting on the beach doing nothing? That's no life.
Oh, it's spelled the same, but we call it caramels, not caramels. Caramel. It's just
the way it's spelled is caramel. Car, C-A-R-M-E-L. Oh, no. You are incorrect. It is C-A-R-A-M-E-L.
I just said it's spelled the same.
So it's not caramels, it's caramels.
It's spelled the same. You said caramel.
Or whatever. Caramel. But you got to have that extra A in there or else you're just not You know, why'd they put the A in there? They put the A in there for a reason. It wasn't for you to ignore it. You know, Dostoevsky says that they put the extra A's in there so that you actually have to pay attention. Most of us go through life blindly. Like we have a life jacket on and we're just floating down the river. That's no life at all. You want to live a life like that? I don't.
As long as I can take my iron.
We're going back to the iron.
Iron.
You say iron.
I don't say iron. I say iron.
Iron.
I pronounce my
Iron.
vowels as all.
It's not IRIN. It's IRON.
Ron.
It's Iron. Iron.
That's what I just said. Iron. And you said iron like a pirate.
Iron Maiden.
That's what's in your blood. I know. I love it. I pronounce my vowels like a good Canadian, British Canadian. You got to pronounce all those vowels. But I did.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I didn't in caramel,
did I? Like the British people actually pronounce all the vowels. Like the guys that completely blur everything together. And then you can go to Scotland and it's like even more.
You got the Scottish in you. You're the one with the iron. That's Scottish.
What's your contract? Oh, no, that's Irish. I had a guy from Ireland the other day at work. Oh, you know, I got this pain, and when I do this thing, then I got another pain. You don't know.
Did you start talking back to him like that?
No, I did. Oh, so tell me, what brings you in here for this pain? Oh my God, it's the luck of the Irish. You know, this year are the Open Championships in Northern Ireland. What you going to do there? Are you going to watch that? It's something. Are you a golfer or not? You going to go out and hit the links?
I think you should.
I should have done that. It's like this raft of complaints.
You know, but I'm bad for that because I always want to pick up on an accent really quickly.
Yeah, but I must admit, so the other thing that happens when we go on these trips is we end up like watching certain movies like thematically. So we've done like Brad Pitt week and whatnot, and so this was Austin Powers week.
Mm-hmm.
But his Scottish stuff, like fat bastard, I can't stop eating you now. And then it gets in my tummy and I got crap. I mean, that is just brilliant.
I don't know how you guys could stomach all of that, but that's just men for you.
We got to a point. We actually reached the Mike Myers saturation point because we watched a little bit of the Pentaveret, which was this other thing that he made. And it's just like, eventually it's just all fart and poop jokes. And you're like, okay, I get it. I mean, like I'm done.
Guide stuff.
Well, when I was 13, it's funny now a bit, but but Dr. Evil is just too genius. Like it's too good. How about no? I mean, I love that. That is the best character. They should just have a Dr. Evil show and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I want sharks with frickin' laser beams, and then it will eat your testicles.
I wonder what he's up to now. He's probably sitting back getting ready for
Halloween. He was supposed
with his craft caramels.
Yeah. Who, Dr. Evil or Mike Myers? Mike Myers was supposed to make the fourth. There's been rumors of the fourth Austin Powers, but we'll see. But the way the last one ended, where it was disclosed that Dr. Evil and Austin Powers were actually brothers.
Oh.
Yes. So then then there's Scott,
the useless son,
who became the inheritor of the evil empire. So
they gotta have a sequel. Gotta answer all those questions.
It's been over 20 years. The last one, the female
lead,
be
dead. It's just gonna be Scott in charge.
That's right. Now. The last one, gold member, the female lead was Beyonce, and she was 19 years old.
I know. I didn't remember that until you told me.
That's like, and then it will eat your testicles.
Okay.
I love saying that. It's so funny.
I was gonna say, was there any pertinent medical stuff in there in Austin Powers? That's probably it.
No. Other than, if you should check to make sure you don't have testicular cancer by checking your testicles.
Sounds like he's combining a couple of accents there.
I don't know what he's doing when he does the Dr.
It's
Evil
kind of
thing.
like that. What's that res? Canadian Indian res
you're
guy.
deadly. You're deadly, man. You're deadly. That guy.
Yeah.
Is it Clarence somebody? I forget his name.
No, it's a Kootenai somebody.
Yeah.
Coot-
That guy, if
If
Americans,
my sister was in the comment section, she could tell us. You can look that up.
if Americans understood that humor, that northern Native American reservation humor that he does, he would be.
I think it's indigenous peoples now.
Well, whatever it is in
say.
Canada, but he would be massive.
Oh, I know.
Because it's super funny, but it's
it's Conway Kootenai
Kootenai Conway or Conway Kootenai or something. It's super niche down, and it's great. But you have to have lived in that world to kind of get the joke.
I mean,
so it's a non-transferable joke. But having grown up in Northern Canada, it's like, you're deadly. Don't stop being deadly.
Yeah, you have to. It's almost like jokes of Rhode Island, or I don't know, jokes of Jersey. Although I think
there's a lot of people in Jersey,
but there's a lot of people, and more people travel there, so they get it. I was just trying to think of somewhere small. It would have to be. It's just so niche down.
It's so niche down. Like literally, it would be like a suburb of Boston.
Yeah.
And that was the only people that understood those jokes.
Even though Canada is huge in geography, not many people.
You mean? The 51st state's going to be huge. I was
about to ask if you were going to comment.
It's going to be way bigger than the rest.
Do you think?
Actually, the 51st state's bigger than the rest of the other lower 48. That's okay.
We didn't really do a show about the election up there.
We will. We have
it's
a request.
Late.
No, it's not too late because he's barely started effing up Canada. So we can. There's lots of time to talk about Mark Carney. Lots of time
to pave the interstate north right into Alberta across.
Yeah. Because I don't think Trump cares about Eastern Canada very much. He wants one thing, and that's
give me that money,
Alberta.
All the oil and gas.
When you look at the resources in Alberta that are still in the ground, how big that province is. I mean, it's landmass. It's got to be bigger than Texas. The amount of energy that's in there.
Whoa! Landmass is bigger than Texas. No,
I would think it'd be close. Absolutely, 100%. We'll do the math. Let's do the math right now.
I thought you were trying to say the land in Alberta area was bigger than Texas.
No, the land mass area of Alberta would be very close to the land mass area of Texas.
Really?
Yes. Let's look up square footage. Let's do this.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Are you serious?
I have never been more serious or deadly in my life.
Somehow would think that Ontario would be.
Area.
Now we digress, but since we are going there, what you're going to look up the square kilometers?
Alberta is 255,541 square miles.
255,000.
Yep.
Square miles. Really? You'd think I would know this. I guess growing up there.
Texas is 268,596. They're almost exactly the same deadly size.
That blows me away. Huh.
But if he picked off Alberta and Saskatchewan, that would be almost double the size of Texas.
And a fraction of the population.
Well, there's 1 million in Saskatchewan and 3 million in Alberta, something like that.
And 100,000 tax-paying residents.
Well, no, it's gone up a little bit.
I know.
But there was a point. There was a point in Saskatchewan's history where they almost had every single taxpayer leave under the duress of excessive taxation.
We'll have to see what happens and bring a show on that.
Yeah, we should do a Canadian election show, a little Canadian show. We do have a fan on X who loves when we talk about that.
Oh, Canada. We'll do that one.
Yeah, we'll do an old Canada episode because
we'll have to find some more other stupid medical news and glory holes and things like that.
Oh man, that glory hole episode from 4 years ago, that was outstanding. Mm-hmm. That if you have not listened to it, it's probably episode 4 or 5 or something like that about COVID and how the equivalent of the Surgeon General of British Columbia came out and said that you should limit sexual contact with strangers, but if you're going to do that, then you should use glory holes.
And
because
I was like,
COVID is so unbelievably dangerous. How about because COVID is so
what's a glory
unbelievably
hole?
dangerous
Don't look it up.
that you need to have these wooden
Okay,
barriers
don't even.
to intimacy. When how about the whole fact that you're having sex with a stranger is actually probably way more different, way more dangerous than a cold. If you were 25 years old, having sex with strangers, COVID was of zero risk to you. Meeting a guy in an alley was probably higher risk. Which thing was going to have you go home in a trunk of a car? Was it
Well, no, they can
the
get you.
lab created COVID virus, or was it some a-hole you met on Tinder? I don't know. Riddle me that.
How are they going to get you if you're behind the fence?
Like it was
like it reminded me of like Tim the Tool Man, that stupid show where he talks to Wilson. What's his Wilson behind the fence?
Okay, we're gonna do two shows. We're gonna do two shows.
Let's move on.
We're gonna do a show. We're gonna do a show on Canada, and we're gonna do a show on remember the completely insane and mental things we did during COVID. That we have to do that because lest we forget. You can, the masking, the overreach, all the governmental, whatever. I get that. Beat the drum. That's okay. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the completely insane
wiping your
stuff.
Amazon packages with Lysol.
Wiping your Amazon packages with Lysol. Glory holes in British Columbia, like all of that. We have to revisit.
One way down the supermarket.
Yeah, like it just goes on and on. Like you forget about it because it was so bad, right? It's like a super, super bad case of hemorrhoids. You don't really think about it. Like you don't put it on your little calendar and go, oh, this is a 3-month anniversary of when I had that really bad hemorrhoid. You don't do that. So you just like it's human nature just to forget all this. No, we are going to remind you that we lost our freaking minds.
I don't know. I'm a woman, and after childbirth, and those hemorrhoids were so bad, I can never forget them. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for participating.
I know. It's the best 15 seconds of my life. But anyway, so
all right.
It's just crazy. All right.
What's on the show this week?
This week, coming up, we do a solo episode. We have no one interviewed, even though we have interviews cooking.
And it is serious.
It is serious. We are going. I hate the word deep dive. We're not doing that. We spent an hour
dissecting, bringing you the backstory
on the Means siblings, Casey and Callie Means.
Who are they?
Casey,
if you don't know, you haven't been watching
for nomination for the Surgeon General's office. Callie is her brother,
and they've been hot in the news and on podcasts. I shouldn't say the news. I'd say podcasts and
yes,
all big.
So all sorts of media.
Cause health advocates.
Yeah. So we're going way down that rabbit hole, quoting other podcasts that have been critical, people that have been not critical, looking at their history objectively, looking at the history of their family, giving you an opinion. We're not going to tell you just to be nice. We're going to tell you what we think and what we think you should do about that. But you can, as always, ask questions and make your own mind up. We're not telling you what to do. But again, some of these people, I get it. They're dancing around politically and they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. And they don't say anything. They don't say, okay, what do you think? What do you think about them? And I'm just like, no, I'm unwilling to do that.
We all know you can't do that.
No, even if I didn't tell you directly what I think, it'd be obvious. But it is super
There's
interesting.
Different ways of getting your point across, isn't there?
Right. But also there's also, you also don't want to you want to be very aware that there's always a potential wolf in the henhouse. But at the same time, you don't want to sow division and burn down something that is potentially, in our lifetimes, absolutely a once in a lifetime opportunity to change health legislation for the better, to bring to the forefront the importance of taking care of yourself, because I firmly believe the legacy of MAHA, some of it will be legislative, but the real legacy is going to be cultural. And you don't change the country with laws. You change the country with culture. If you look at what we did with smoking, the Surgeon General came out and started putting the smoking's bad for you, blah, blah, blah. And then we did some ads and some education in schools and all of that. It was education and ultimately culture that altered smoking. Because if it was just the Surgeon General that said, don't smoke, then all the cool kids are going to smoke. Like, who gives a crap what this dumbass in Washington says? So it's culture. You have to alter culture. Some of that's government, some of that is legislation, but most of it is completely different. And I said this to my buddy Ben Raw. The fact that Bobby Kennedy, who he is, his name, what he has said for 20 plus years about vaccines, the fact that he has that position, just that alone is enough of a cultural shift that tells me things are going to get better. That's it. Even if he does nothing else. All I want him to do is two things: get rid of the freaking ads on TV and do vaccine studies. Nothing else. I want the real data, and I don't want to be watching an ad with some fat chick dancing around telling me how great Jardiance is. That's it. He does that, the culture totally changes.
All right. Well, now we know what you think. Tune in this week to find out what we also think, what the means in their rise to
sudden fame.
And thanks for joining us. If you like this episode, share it with your friends, family, coworkers, etc. And go get yourself some caramel whiskey from Loaded Cannon. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.